grade, here we go. Last and final. So we have Betsy here, who I just want to acknowledge did a bang up job organizing and getting Friendship Village into the Big Give, which she'll give us a little update on that. But in addition to the Big Give, she also is going to talk about the awesome scholarships that we did via Zoom, the interviews that we did via Zoom during COVID. So
Wonderful, thank you, Rita. All right, I'll go ahead and move us forward. So, while we haven't had our normal charitable giving operations during COVID, they haven't stopped completely. I do want to acknowledge the Big Give. Rita mentioned this. This was last Wednesday and Thursday through the Columbus Foundation, and it was Friendship Village of Dublin's first opportunity to participate in the Big Give, even though the Columbus Foundation has been doing this every other year or so since 2011. So we had a great response. We're so grateful for all of the donors, all of the 49 donors who responded to our call for support at the Big Give. We raised a total of almost $14,000, and most of that is going to our Residents Benevolent Fund here at Friendship Village of Dublin. So thank you all so much to those who supported through the Big Give, and to those of you who support every day in all the many ways that you give back to our community. Every way that we give back is important and valued here. So I do want to talk about our scholarship program. Back in February, we released the applications for our 20th year of scholarships here at Friendship Village of Dublin. Associates and associates dependents are eligible to apply for scholarships, and we received 16 applications, and all 16 of the applicants were then interviewed at the end of April. So we had 2 full days of Zoom interviews with our committee of 7, and that included 3 residents. So your leadership from the Residents Association, Mr. Stearns, Mrs. Forbes, and Mr. Gast, and then also 2 members of our board of directors, so Karen Ickes and Kathy McGinnis. And they deliberated. It was very challenging. All of the applicants were very, very qualified and really inspiring, but we came down to 8 recipients. And so we will, in July, on July 17th, be awarding a total of $27,500 in scholarships to these 8 recipients. We are thrilled to be able to help them out, help them continue their education. We know that so much of the time, the education of our associates ends up really benefiting Friendship Village of Dublin and our residents. And so it's wonderful to see these very hard-working and inspiring people continue on with their education. We will have a ceremony of sorts, so stay tuned for more information about that. Like a lot of things, it's not going to look like it has in past years. We are hoping to be able to invite a small group to attend a socially distant ceremony, but it will be much smaller than in regular years. But don't worry, everyone's going to be included. We're going to utilize technology, just like we are today, to broadcast the ceremony. We know how much all of you love hearing from those scholarship recipients, hearing their stories, hearing their goals, hearing how Friendship Village of Dublin has really shaped their path. And so we will record that, and we will share that so that we can all enjoy their stories together. So again, thank you all for all of your generous support, and can't wait to share that ceremony all with you soon. That'll be recorded on July 17th, so stay tuned for that. Thanks, Rita.
all right. So let's talk about some other fun things that are happening around here. I think we are so appreciative of the patience that you have all given us through this COVID period. It has been, I think, one of the hardest things that we've all had to endure in our lives, and especially managing a community of this size and changing our operations really at the drop of a hat. I think we made a decision, I think, to close our dining rooms at 5 o'clock, and then by 7 o'clock we had to have communication out to all of you and figure out how we were going to serve you to your apartments, and how we were going to manage housekeeping, and how we were going to do all these various things. And now we're trying to figure out how we get all those things back and try and keep you safe too. So we know it's not ideal. We try our best to communicate, but we miss a lot of the important pieces as we go. But I hope you know how much we are so appreciative of your patience and your kindness, and and your willingness to allow us, and your survey, the survey that we sent out last week, like, we read those comments. I actually reread them this morning, actually, because we were trying to make a decision about a future thing, and we use that feedback, the COVID information that you're sending to COVID-19 at FB Dublin. That is a vital communication tool for us, and I think we are appreciative that you take the time to send us the notes, good, bad, indifferent, the suggestions, because they are very, very, very beneficial. And we keep saying there are no right answers on all of this, but it sure is hard. We know you want to go back out. I think I waited to get my hair cut. I can't wait to get my hair cut, hopefully maybe next week, but thank you very much. Thank you. We are working on what we are referring to as our 1.3. So every time we release some information, we think, oh, what about the pool on the weekends? Or, oh, what about the activity courts on the weekends? So your feedback makes us look at things a little different. And so we're working on that. We do kind of just want to wait and see how things are going, especially over the next week. We know that the mass gatherings have been occurring since Memorial Day, and it's now the 19th, 17th, something like that. So it's been a 2 weeks, so we can kind of see what's happening. Housekeeping is very much on the top of our radar. Allowing you to go sit outside is on the top of our radar. Obviously, trying to get people into the health center is out of our hands, but probably every single one of us would bend over backwards to allow that to happen, because that's very, very hard. And then we're also trying to determine what the new normal looks like. We don't know. And we know that it's going to be, COVID will be here for a while, so we have to adjust, and we have been so fortunate to stay healthy, and we know that we're going to have some asymptomatic positives come out of this testing this week, and we've talked about the testing and what that looks like, and the testing is just a point in time. So if we tested every single one of you at 4 o'clock, at 5:30 you could walk out the door and things could change. So there are no right answers. We're learning as we go. We're trying the best we can to deduce the information that's coming in, and trying to find a way for us to make sure that you're living the best lives that you can with your families. We know how important that is. Your friends, the podiatrist, your salon beauticians. I don't think we will ever take for granted the small little things that we had in the past. So we appreciate that. I also want to talk a little bit about resident satisfaction and some of the other projects. So you've heard today that we have we have a lot going on, and we're so happy with it. I think we're excited about the path that we're on, trying to put some processes into place. The organization has grown, like we've talked about, a lot. And so what you saw today is kind of just everything kind of coming together, and it's not going to come together perfectly. We know that. There's going to be struggles. There's going to be things that we don't do correct that we're going to have to adapt and move moving forward. But we are working on it. This is also a resident satisfaction survey here. We're thinking that it's probably not the best to do in the middle of the COVID period, but we're just going to wait and see. But we do use that resident satisfaction survey as a tool for what needs to happen. So, for example, your preventative maintenance, that was a tool that came out of the resident satisfaction survey. The culinary piece in the back of the house and the front of the house, Jay and Aaron working with Don, Kristen, and Marissa, and the rest of the culinary team. We hear you on that. We know we can do better. We are working on it. There's just a lot of challenges, and I know those are excuses, and I don't like excuses, but there are some viable roadblocks that are in our way. But we are trying to do everything we can to mitigate those, to provide some really great services to all of you. We've been talking a lot about this life care document and how to use your life care as you navigate into this piece. So I have on my desk a draft of the first version of the life care document. It was our goal to try and have it out by July 1st, but that's not going to happen. So I'm very hopeful that we probably will need 2 or 3 rounds of the life care piece for all of you. So we are working on that. I don't want that to go out of our sight, because that is something that's on our list. The other thing that we talked about, I don't remember, January, we asked you to fill out your resident health information forms. Maybe it was even prior to January. We have still been working on putting those into PCC and automating that process. So all of the forms that you provided have all been put into PCC, into your electronic medical record. We have a meeting next week with the OPC to make sure that we all of that information jives, that your physician, your primary care physician, your emergency contacts, if you have a med list, that's in there. So we are working to try and automate that whole process for all of you, so that if when you do have to go to the hospital, we can send with you a med list, emergency contacts, your DNR order, your advance directive. It is a mountain of paperwork, and so Sherry Caesar has been now just coming back in the last couple of weeks to help us with re-entering some of that data in there. So that's a huge project for us. In conjunction with that, your resident files, we're trying to organize those because, like a lot of things, they're just in a piece in a folder, and we want to know what's in each section and have it be organized so that we can work on that. So a lot of administrative things on that, but critical, we think, in the process. We had intended to take a little retreat, our leadership team, in early June to work on our strategic plan, and so we obviously can't do that. There's more than 10 of us, so we can't all be in the room at the same time, and it just doesn't have the same effect via a Zoom. But that is a goal of ours, to take what you have said in your resident satisfaction survey of what we've learned over the last year or two, and try and put that together for a roadmap for us moving forward. Because, like Seth said, we're outgrowing some of our old practices and we have to reinvent them. And there certainly has been a lot of punches thrown out. We've got construction, and then we think, oh goodness, we're past that, and then we've got another thing, and then we've got COVID. So again, not an excuse, just we need to have some refocused time for that. And the last, Craig talked about it, the TV. It's been one of those things that's just been a challenge. So we are working at buying out the KR communication contracts. So we're not sure if that's even going to be a possibility with COVID. We've sent multiple emails and not gotten a response on that. So we're working through that process. We obviously would like one TV system so that you all can watch this on 51.1. You don't have to watch it on YouTube and 51.1. I think 51.1 has been a nice addition, so we can broadcast some of this, but leveraging the technology that we have in these times is critical, and so we are working on that. We're hopeful when Tom gets here, he can help us with that in conjunction with some other things. So we haven't forgotten about some of that. This would typically be the time we do question and answers, but I only see Seth and Betsy and Steve and Kevin and Mitz in this room, and I'm pretty sure they have no questions. And if they do, they can ask them. But similar to what we did with the budget presentation, if you have questions or comments, if you send them to COVID-19, there's COVID-19 at fbdublin.org, we will answer them. We'll do a question and answer like we did for the budget. We'll probably put that together for you next week. So if you could have all of your comments to us by Sunday night, we'll put that together, record it, and get it back out to you. So we know that there's a lot of information. You might have a hard time hearing it today. So let's just review. We're gonna put this on YouTube. We'll give you a link. We will also put it on 51.1. The information, the PowerPoint will be on the Grapevine, and Mitz will help us with the summary like she always does. So certainly not the most ideal situation, but we hope that you found today beneficial, and you've learned a thing or two, and you recognize that we do very much appreciate and value your feedback. So thanks so much, and have a great day.